Hello everyone, my name is Leishi Curvelo, design advocate at Sketch, and today we will be talking with women in design. Today with me, it's a great opportunity to have my invited speaker, Emanuela Damiani. How are you, Emanuela?
Hi, all good, all good. Thank you so much for having me here.
I'm super excited to have you here. You're a UX manager at Firefox, that's correct?
Yes, I've been a UX manager for our Firefox team for around 1 year now. And, it's been really excited. I entered the team as an individual contributor, and now I manage other designer like I used to be. So that's great.
So, Emanuela, give us a little bit of information about your history, your background, so the audience can know a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. So I'm originally from Italy. I'm currently living in Berlin. But back in Italy, when I was just a teenager, I was spending most of my time online, and I was learning a bit like all those design software by myself. Back then, we used to do everything in Photoshop, which is quite peculiar if we think about that right now. And I was just having a great time, like exploring the web. And I remember the person who then became my work partner and also like my life partner told me, you know that this can be a career, right? You know that you can do this for a job. And I was like, what? Like back then there was not really a proper idea what was UX design or what was product design. So I just started as a web designer. I was having some freelance client. I was working part-time for some companies and organization in Italy. And it was such a great experience for me. Like, I think that I really appreciated the opportunity to start working right away. Of course, I made a lot of mistake on the way, but there was like a good time to make mistake. I was still pretty early. So I do have a proper, design background. Like I've went to a design school in the end. Luckily, I was able to get like a scholarship to pay for it. So that was also like a great opportunity for me. And I realized that what they were teaching at the time wasn't really what I wanted to, right? It was still a lot regarding art direction or like basic visual design that I'm really grateful that I had as my background, but I really wanted to go more into the digital space, which was still pretty new. So I basically educated myself through conferences, books. Back then there were like a lot of like articles that weren't all on Medium, so you had to find like the right blogs and read them over and over. But no, it was really an exciting time. And after, I will say like more or less 10 years of working together with my partner in Italy for clients, I realized that it was time for me to work in a product environment, right? Because working for clients is great. It gives you a great opportunity and you can see how design can help them in the short term, but you're not there to see the long term, like the long tail of the impact of the work that you're doing. So together we decided to move to the Berlin. We close our activity together. And I first worked for a startup here, and then for Mozilla, like a bit more than 5 years ago now.
Nice, nice. You know, I really love this kind of interactions to know more people because sometimes you feel related to that person that you are actually having a connection. I started my career actually as a self-learner too, and YouTube was my best friend at that moment. Just learning through videos, just learning by myself, like reading books, and that's one of the things that I always like suggest to people that really want to enter to the design field, like just like search online, like Google has everything just put in there, and you can have the opportunity to learn by yourself. And that's one of the things that I think people, it's a little bit of scare, just learning a lot alone could be hard, but I think that is one of the best ways to just start and like just jump to the big pool of design.
100% agree with you. Also, like one quick note there, like it's not that I'm really happy that right now there are a lot of career courses dedicated to UX design, but our field is so changing and moving and evolving. So the thing that I would recommend to everyone, that even if you're enrolled in the best course ever, still, like, if you feel like an inch, I don't know, into, oh, I really like this content design thing, go there, see if there is a content design podcast, workshop, conference, whatever. And because maybe that can be your, the thing that you want to do. And, educate, like a formal education, doesn't always have all the answer.
Exactly, exactly. I really impressed that you actually started working as a freelancer and there in a proper company, I would say. So what key lesson you learned in your career? Like this is like a real weird journey. Talk about that.
Well, I will say that I think it's the classic mix of being a bit lucky, a bit of the spirit of time, and a bit of the environment around me. Back then in Italy, it was really rare to have proper product company. It was way more common to have like small businesses that they wanted to enter the digital world, but they have no idea how, right? They were like, I don't know, say like, I heard that there is this thing like the internet. And by the way, like, I know this sounds like it's 100 years ago. I don't know, maybe in internet time, it kind of is. It's like more around 15 years ago, maybe 12 years ago. But, like people were like still pretty new and they were trying to find their way, or, the e-commerce were like just starting to be a thing. So people were trying to find a way that wasn't too expensive for them. So I would say there was like a mix of opportunity and environment there. But what I found interesting is that it really helped me learning how to manage stakeholders, which is something that then I found myself doing a lot working in a more, corporate environment, with the opportunity that if I have a heated conversation with a client or with one of my stakeholders, if I'm employed, I still get paid at the end of the month. If not, maybe the client will be like, I'm not really sure I want to pay you your invoice this month, Emanuela.
But that's awesome because you now, well, you start from the hard way and then you have the tools to actually work in a different kind of environment. You are now with the complete armor to start like touching that type of situation. So what has been the biggest challenge that you faced?
I would say that there is always a new biggest challenge, right? It's like somehow it's never ending, but it's also why it's really exciting, and it's also what kept me moving. If I think of myself, I don't know, at the beginning of my journey in Mozilla, right? So a bit more than 5 years ago, I will think that one of the biggest challenge was to even prove to myself that it was good for me to be there, that I was worth it to be there, working in a great international environment. So that was definitely something that I was trying to, a bit of imposter syndrome, but also for many people, like like English is not my first language. And I wanted to be sure that people will understand me correctly. Like your communication is such an integral part of working as a UX designer. So that back then was one of my biggest challenge. Now that I'm a manager, I will say that one of my biggest challenges is to be sure that I um, I have like a good balance between shielding and helping my teammates, but also leave them the space to be themselves, right? Leave them the space to express their talent in the way that is more natural for them. Somehow reminding myself that even if I found my own trail going in a direction, there may be another trail for other people, but it's still my job to support them. So this is my current challenge.
It's
In
it's a
Yeah.
it's a big challenge. Like be a leader. It's a huge challenge, and I think you are putting the correct things over there. Like have the balance of like the guidance, but also like be free to people can choose whatever it works for them. So it's a really huge challenge. I'm really surprised how you actually talk about it, because some people think sometimes like be a leader is just like giving instructions or just giving the path, and it's not only that. Definitely, it's super interesting your point of view. So what things do you think that in terms of the design industry people think often get overlooked, like the topics that people doesn't talk about in the design industry basically?
Really, really interesting question for me, because even just probably some month ago, I will say, well, there is not enough attention to maybe the discovery phase, or there is not enough attention to getting the right time to understand if your exploration fit the market. But I have to say that now that I'm also doing a lot of interviews, I'm noticing that we're facing a weird time. I will say we're starting to lack some visual design skills that are still important for a designer. Like they may not be your number one skill, but you should feel comfortable to move in a design tool and to express yourself, not just through low fidelity sketches, but also in high fidelity. And like, don't get me wrong, I have like pencils and paper everywhere on my desk, because this is still the way that I think. But I understand, and I think this is something that we will start to repeat to the industry. It's important to be able to be also a translator from what you have on paper, what you have on low fidelity, and what can be in the actual product.
I think this is a great topic that every time that I put it on the table, people start looking at me like, oh, do you think like the blank canvas is like a really challenge? Like designers want to have a blank canvas on the front, like how they can just translate their ideas or their thoughts to actual design. It's a challenge. Like sometimes for me, it's like how I can start like put my ideas into a physical visual world.
100%. And I think this is also going hand to hand with the rise of design systems, right? Design systems are great. They can help us bootstrap, they can help us moving forward and be sure that our product is cohesive. However, if we only apply the system without putting, some sets, some extra heart on top of it, we may end up having a design that is sterile, doesn't communicate the emotional part, which I think is still a bit part of what we have to do. Like when somebody uses your digital product, they're still using a product. So I think it's still important that we remind ourselves that like we should give them some sort of emotion and design for those emotions as well.
Wow, I want to do that a quote, design for those emotions. So, Emanuela, I really want to understand what actually inspired you.
Um, I will say that what inspired me is the little girl that I was telling you at the beginning, that was there spending times in her bedroom, instead of going outside, thinking like, oh yeah, this is really cool. I think it's still her that inspired me a lot, and say like, okay, you can actually do it. And I still think that it's great that this industry can give us the opportunity to expand our life, to expand our career, and became something more. So yeah, I will say that what inspired me right now is that little girl, and this is also why in Berlin I'm one of the co-founder of the Berlin chapter of Let It That UX, right? It's so important for me to be in touch with all the little and not little. Of course, like here, I'm not just thinking of one age, because sometimes as I was telling you before, like that little girl is still there and active. And it can be somebody who's just like moving industry, or it can be somebody who's just like interested into the field. And that's something that really kept me inspired. And at the same time, I'm not going to lie, like now that I'm working for a product that is used by a lot of people, right? It's good to see the impact of your design action into, just one metric, and it's like, oh, that really, maybe that helped some people to have a better way to live their day a bit faster, or just, that.
Actually, that lead me to our final questions, and I think it's really important to just closing with this because we need more. Why do we need more women in design? Why do you think, Emanuela, we need more women in design? Like, I think you are the best example as a UX manager now, but I don't want to put words on your mouth. So why we need more women in design?
Um, you know, I think that we need more women in design, because there is something, I think there is like a real connection between design and in general, also like generally tech and women. Like the way that we approach problem, it can be very different from our male counterpart. And having like a good balance and having a good understanding of how we're going to do things is it's really relevant. I can say that I'm really happy, like when I look at my team at the moment, where I have like both like male, female, no binary people, right? It's, you can see how all of us bring our big or small luggage of experience, and we try to put it there, and we try to put it there, and they're all human. Of course, we're going to put a bit of ourselves in our work. And what we try to do is to be sure that everyone is having a comfortable experience. Of course, everyone, I'm not saying that we are designing for ourselves. We're not the user, we know all of that, but it's still important to recognize that you put a bit of yourself.
For me, having you here, it's a complete example that we can actually get to different places that maybe sometimes we don't imagine because we don't know the capabilities that we have on the inside. When I started my career, one of the things that I was looking, it was like I was doing an events and I see so many men there. It was like I was the only one girl on the entire event. It was like I need more women with me. So like having you in that role, that I can see so many different designers that can say, oh, I can be a UX design leader also. Thank you so much, Emanuela, for being with us.
First, and if I may add one thing, because I remember that feeling as well, right? To be in a conference for the first time and maybe be the only person who was wearing a skirt. Uh, I will say that entering the design tech industry can be intimidating, because you can see a sort of code, how people dress, how people speak, what people like. You don't have to fit that code. And I always try to make this really clear for all my team members, or like all the people that I encounter on my way. Like, I like, to dress really girly some days, and other days I don't. I like to just stay in my hoodie, and that's okay. That doesn't make me less a designer in the industry. So I think it's really important that the more, women we allow to enter the industry, the more we kind of normalize the place. Like maybe, uh, this is quite silly, but all the meetups in Berlin used to have pizza, right? So when we started Ladies That UX, and yes, it's true, like I'm Italian, so I'm kind of picky on pizza. So when we started Ladies That UX in Berlin, I was like, let's do something different, even if it's something small. Like when with like 99% of the time, we're not going to have pizza as the food that we ask the company to provide. That made a difference. Like actually people then approach us and so like, this is the only meetup that I don't feel guilty to go, because I know that I always going to find a different option that is not like pizza. And this is help. I mean, I'm Italian, I love food, but I think it kind of gave a different perspective of what does it mean also diversity. It means that pizza is great. Pizza is my favorite food together with lasagna, but sometimes you also need other things.
Definitely. Actually, it's not silly. It's the best. I mean, it's the cherry on top of the pie to just close in this interview.
With
Thank
pizza
you so much,
lasagna.
Emanuela, for being here with us, for sharing your experience and being woman in design with Sketch. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So this is all for today, and thank you for watching us. Have a great day, everyone.